everyone. This is part two of Laura's nutritional rules. I hope you had a chance to listen or watch part one. I went over the strategies that I have at the end of every chapter in my book, Let's Get Real About Eating. Um, I wrote this 12 years ago, so now I'm looking at how relevant the recommendations are as nutrition and nutritional rules and what we eat have changed. So, all right. So let's get started with where we left off. All right, we're on chapter 9, and this is all about corn. All right, rule number 1, divide your pantry. Divide your pantry into foods containing corn, and then corn byproducts, and then those foods containing high fructose corn syrup. The high fructose corn syrup is the one you're going to want to eliminate first. So it's a way of not just like sweeping your pantry, but actually just being very strategic. So you can make sustainable steps. Okay. Do the same in your refrigerator. Rule number 2. Number 3, eliminate the high fructose corn syrup. It is one of the most damaging ingredients in our food supply. And so you should really pay close attention to how you purchase items that contain this. Number 4, use and replace. So every time you finish using a product containing a genetically modified version of corn, then replace it with the non-GMO verified corn. And the Non-GMO Project is a nonprofit organization labeling packaged food. You can see that label pretty clearly. We've kind of come accustomed to seeing that. It's a pretty great thing. Number 5, corn is a grain, not a vegetable. This is a big mistake I see people making. When I hear people talk about their food, I hear that corn and potatoes are the only two vegetables they're eating, but again, corn isn't a vegetable. Number 6, buy organic when you can. GMO corn, as we talked about in chapter 3, is really destructive to our health. And so when you want to eat corn, you want to do it as close to natural as possible. It is kind of a really challenging grain for a lot of us to break down. All right, moving right along, chapter 10, sugar. I called this chapter The Great White Witches, Sugar and Sweeteners. They're really, really bad for us. And so we need to understand how often we can really do this, right? That's kind of the big thing. Rule number 10, avoid the artificial sweeteners and reduce your sugar consumption. Number 1, be aware of government approval. When there's too much controversy over whether studies were manipulated for profits and the risk to your health, don't consume that particular food. Trust your health and the laws of nature first. All right. Number 2, avoid aspartame, also known as NutraSweet. It is one of the most controversial artificial sweeteners. Again, rule number 1, right? So this alone should make you avoid it. Chewing gum is one of the worst. You can find it in yogurt, sodas, sports drink, especially when people think they're cutting back on sugar and they make the mistake of buying sugar-free. Right. Sugar-free doesn't necessarily mean free of artificial sweeteners. Read your label. Number 3, the first ingredients matter. The first 3 ingredients matter most. Avoid sugar when it comes in the first 3 ingredients. This is a really helpful tip, right? Because sometimes we don't understand how much sugar is in it, right? So if it shows up in the first 3 ingredients, it's the bulk of what you're eating, okay? Number 4, natural first. Let's see real quick because I'm really curious. Okay, so that amount of sugar, let's talk a little bit about that. About 4.5 grams equals 1 teaspoon, okay? So when you do a packet of oatmeal, one of those instant packets, and maybe it says 12 grams, you're doing a good 3 to 4 full heaping teaspoons of sugar. If you made a bowl of oatmeal, would you really use that much? So sometimes the way that it's integrated into the ingredients, if we were to manage it ourselves, we wouldn't even use that much. So buying like, the plain stuff and adding your own. So that's a strategy too. Again, natural first, number 4. Okay, artificial sweeteners, not healthy choice. If you're looking for something, it needs to say unsweetened, right? So, like the most common mistake is with something like applesauce. Sugar-free means it's going to have artificial sweetener in it. Unsweetened means it won't have anything in it, right? So that's the difference in reading a label. Number 5, holidays and special occasions only. If you limit your actual refined sugar consumption to moderate consumption at holidays and a special occasion, you're actually going to do more than fill your quota. There's the cold and flu season, right? Sometimes we think it has to do with weather, but it usually starts right before Halloween and usually goes until after Valentine's Day because our sugar consumption through that holiday season is excessive enough, and about 1 teaspoon of sugar reduces the function of your immune system by 10%. So imagine if you're having 40 grams of sugar, right? Which you can find easily in a soda. So 40 grams, we're looking at 10 full teaspoon. That's 100% reduction in your immune system in 24 hours. So again, if you're going back to back days, your body doesn't get any chance to recover. For those of us that are considering our brain health to be really important, so this would be something I would have added to the rules, is that it can shrink your brain. It can affect and reduce serotonin production, and it can actually kill some of your brain cells. It is one of the leading excitotoxins. So, brain health, right? Be passionate about your brain health as you age. All right, going on. Number 6, make your own. Um, Again, like that oatmeal, if you're in charge of how much sugar you're putting in, you're going to get less than the artificial and the pre-designed amount of sugar in a packaged food. Okay. Number 7, by any other name. We derive sweet from a variety of sources. They all lead to no good, so know their names. So, for example, sugar is sugar, cane juice, dehydrated cane juice, invert sugar, raw sugar, brown sugar, evaporated cane crystals, molasses, turbinado sugar, beet sugar. Got to know your names, right? All right. Artificial and sometimes natural sugars, but again, super processed, not like directly out of nature. Brown rice syrup, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, which had its own rule. Glucose, maltodextrin, malt syrup, mannitol, rice syrup, saccharose, sorbitol, sorghum, sucrose, splenda, xylose, aspartame equal NutraSweet and saccharin. Number 8, examine your reasons. Many times sugar is for emotional reasons, right? So ask yourself first if there's anything else you can do to help you feel differently. We all go through highs and lows, and having a variety of coping strategies rather than eating as the primary one and then eating sweets can really help us go, okay, what coping strategy do I want to implement now? If it's becoming difficult, then really you'll want to work with a professional on that. Number 9, 1 day at a time. The first week of eliminating sugar, I would even say the first 3 to 5 days are the hardest. Um, and the more of a hold these ingredients have on your body, the harder it may be. So taking control over something which has control over you just for 1 day is 1 day you've achieved a significant success. Awesome. Yeah, still believe that, right? Small wins are still wins. And small wins after small win after small win is a great win. Chapter 11, What's in Your Fat? All right. Fat's definitely gone through some highs and lows through the years. All right, let's see. Number one, avoid trans fat at all cost. It will be called hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils on the label. Um, they are the worst of the worst. Yeah, still believe that. Okay, you'll see them in some soup mixes like ramen noodles, cake mixes, pancake mixes, frozen pies, cakes, dinners, fast foods. Read your labels carefully. All right, number two, buy only extra virgin olive oil. Make sure it's cold pressed and the nutrients are not lost through that heat or chemical process. Keep it in glass. If you buy extra virgin olive oil, is one of the foods that really needs to be stored in glass and in dark, in a colored glass jar. Bet you didn't know that's why you probably see, right? That's why we see that dark green glass bottle for olive oil. We don't see that as much in the other oils because it breaks down the oil, right? When it's exposed to even natural light. And then remember to avoid using high heat on your olive oil. Number four, make your own salad dressing. Yeah, salad dressings, kind of their condiments are one of the biggest problems with using oils that we wouldn't want to use. All right. Number five, if you're in a rush and homemade salad dressing doesn't fit your schedule, try drizzling extra virgin olive oil onto your salad. Squeeze some fresh lemon on the top. Limit high heat cooking. Number six, high heat destroys destroys vital nutrients. But when cooking with high heat, consider using um, pasture-fed butter, a really good high quality animal fat, unrefined coconut oil. Those are just to name a few of the ones that can sustain high heat. A little trick too, I sometimes will do, I will steam my veggies in a little bit of water on the stove top, and then I will drizzle the olive oil over the top of it as a finishing oil, is what it's called in culinary schools. And then that you get the full rich flavor of the oil without having broken it down in the cooking process. Um, that's number seven. Steam and drizzle. How about that? Got just ahead of myself there. Still, yep, still a recommendation. Still do it. All right, number eight, bake at the right temperature. So if you're using olive oil, you can still use it in your baked goods. I do this a lot, but I reduce the temperature to 300 degrees. So a slower, gentler cook is not going to break the oil down. Um, you can finish elite. Use a less expensive extra virgin olive oil for cooking, and then use an elegant, more expensive, if you can, extra virgin olive oil for the finishing. Uh, yeah, it's a pretty, other parts of the world, Italy, Spain, Greece, they take their olive oil really seriously. Um, Number 10, coconut oil. All right, so for some people, this can be a little bit hard on their cholesterol, their lipids, their cholesterol level. So just make sure it's a good fit for you. All right. Um, Number 11, what about flax? Flaxseed oil, great source of omega-3, but it should never be used for cooking. And flaxseed itself, for the extra omegas, can be used in baking. Now, here's a caution about flax. A lot of people may start doing things really healthy. They add flax to their smoothie all the time, flaxseed to everything, and they're consuming it daily. Flax in excess will reduce testosterone. So that's a message for all us women out there, that as we're aging, even men, want to make sure that you're not, that everything you do is moving you forward towards your health and not two steps forward, one step back. Okay. Most people aren't consuming flax to that degree, but just a word of caution, if you are, we have come across a few people that's been the case. All right. Number 12, eat your fruits and veggies. Really, probably might have put this kind of right after eat real food. Kind of might have moved this in the priority because here's the thing, if you eat enough veggies, that's the greatest gain, right? Like how do we eat in a world where, we're going to want to go to a restaurant and not really pay attention to the ingredients, or if friends and family are meeting at a restaurant where we know that it's not going to be that ideal scenario. We're on a business trip, if we're staying at family's house, like how do we help ourselves? And I kind of talk about eating vegetables as running interference. Run as much interference as you can against all that inflammation that we eat on an ongoing basis, even when we're doing our very best. Okay. Uh, Rules. Try raw spinach. Spinach is one of the most comprehensive nutrients on the planet. So if you're not struggling with histamine or oxalates, then spinach is a great go-to. Um, you can do cool things with spinach too. You can combine spinach with fruit and make a really light salad. I love that. Spinach and strawberries, one of my favorite. Um, Spinach with sliced pears, raw pecans, and a goat feta. Also one of my favorites. All right, number 2, eat broccoli. Preliminary research studies indicate eating 2 pounds of broccoli a week can reduce your risk of cancer by as much as 50%. It'd be interesting to see if that study is still exactly that. Um, I mean, again, the power in vegetables, right? Um, 2 pounds is a lot. I don't know how many of us are going to do 2 pounds in a week. Again, especially if you're having problems with SIBO, methane, hydrogen, right? That can make broccoli really uncomfortable. Even histamines for some people. So it can be a little bit tricky. Um, Broccoli sprouts, probably would add that to here. That could make it a little bit easier and gentler on your system. Okay, here's a big one. People hear 4 to 5 servings of vegetables and they're like, no way. Half a cup is a serving. So what is 4 servings? That is 2 cups. That's actually pretty doable. And for kids, a serving is a quarter cup, which means they have to get a cup of veggies. So instead of being intimidated by that idea of 4 servings, that's not 4 full cups. You really got to encourage your kids to eat vegetables. It matters. It matters. It matters. It matters. Um, Okay, nature's clues. Asparagus is best in the spring. Um, Beets, a lot of these foods, when they grow, they help our bodies during that basically cycle of nature that we're in, right? So, um, some of the foods that are in the spring help flush the liver. We are supposed to do kind of a post-winter cleanse in the spring. Spring cleanse, spring cleaning, right? We're all kind of familiar with that. So, yeah. Or you've heard the term spring cleaning. We're familiar with that. So think about spring cleaning on your body too, spring cleanse. And then the way that our bodies are designed to take the foods that are in season. All right. Cabbage. Oh, cabbage is a powerhouse. We do not eat enough cabbage. Um, just all kinds of things you can do with it. Number 5, eat an apple a day. Apple a day keeps the doctor away. There are over 85 studies that actually prove that statement to be true. It is one of the food sources that contain an antioxidant called glutathione, which is the powerhouse antioxidant, powerhouse of your immune system. So eat that apple a day. If you eat it on an empty stomach, find a place in your day. I usually start my day with one. It cleans your teeth. Just all kinds of fabulous things that happen with an apple. Raw for snacking, number 6. When reaching for an afternoon snack, piece of raw fruit will benefit your health. Here's the thing about fruit too, is that, oh, oh, I thought I was going to get ahead of myself again. You have to eat twice as many vegetables as you do fruit. So eating fruits and vegetables is great, but we can eat too much fruit. If we eat it alone, I see this with a lot of kids. But hey, look, like pickles or cucumbers. A lot of kids like pickles. Doesn't take much to add a pickle to a lunchbox. Doesn't You don't have to worry about it. Kind of getting brown or soggy like some of your other fruits and vegetables. Just make sure it doesn't have food dye in it. I don't know why some of those pickle jars have yellow food dye in it. That is just crazy to me. All right. Wash your fruits and vegetables. Number 8, partner correctly. Avoid combining fruit and artificial ingredients, fruit and white flour, refined sugar. That kind of goes back to some of the other parts of the book, huh? Sweet and the meat. Rule number 9. Watch and avoid combining processed meats and fruit. Yeah, that's a good one. Shred and hide if you need, right? How do we help our kids grow an appreciation for vegetables? Um, Finding creative ways to put it in, chopping up spinach real small, adding it to a tomato sauce, um, shredding cabbage, adding it to shredded lettuce, putting it over a taco. Um, there's also, again, so check out my other book, I'm doing Let's Get Real About Eating. My kid's a picky eater because I've got some strategies in there. One of the things is we can't reward eating good food with bad food. If you finish your dinner, you get dessert, right? Like that's kind of been proven to be um, not not beneficial with the long-term message because the subliminal message to that is the good food is awful and the bad food is what you should desire. So it's really about eating this before that. So I would do things at home with my kids, like eat your salad and then I'll serve you pizza, right? Homemade pizza. Um, and then too, they learn that when they go out too, as they became older and went out with their friends, and they would say things like, I went out for pizza with my friends, but I had a salad, or I chopped up some cucumber and apples and had it before I left. So it's not that we want to prohibit our kids from eating things. We need to teach them how to be nutritionally responsible. So maybe I'll do an episode on that next. All right. Dark smoothies. That's another place to hide vegetables, right? When you use blackberries, blueberries, it's really easy to hide the spinach. You do a lighter smoothie, banana, strawberries, you're not going to hide that spinach real well. It's going to make that smoothie on the gray side. Watch the juice. Rule number 12, bottled and boxed juices often breed bacteria. They often have traces of lead in them too. We do need to be careful about bottled juice. Number 13, healing your taste buds. Our taste buds can be destroyed by sugar and sodium and processed foods, causing us to further crave saltier and sweet foods. So um, give your body a chance to start liking some of these things. Okay. Um, you know, dips are great for kids too, but good dips. And you can even take plain yogurt, mix a fruit spread in it to give it some color. That can become a fruit dip. So it's not that you also want to think about not completely hiding things too, because they have to understand the importance and value of it. The big thing is if we start to think about eating these things as a rule for our bodies, then we can start as parents putting it right over into the same place we put brushing teeth. It's like when we put food over here as something we only have to like, and the things we have to do over here and they're separate, then that can um, give you a confused state of how to not only have boundaries with good food, well, and bad and food that's not as beneficial to us, but teaching your kids how to have boundaries with food too. Add the pink Himalayan sea salt to steamed or sauteed vegetables will add extra minerals. It also enhances the flavor. All right. Number 13, right, or chapter 13. This is about acid alkaline. Um, all right, so a little preview to, or a little preface to the rules, because everything we eat is going to raise our pH or lower our pH. This is a measurement we can take in both blood and urine and saliva. And it's an established equilibrium that has to happen mainly in the blood so that the heart pumps that way. That's a really generalized, easy way of kind of explaining it. So, what is ideal for our body is to have a balance of alkaline to acid food so that that pH is as optimal as possible. 60/40 is a great kind of rule. Those that are in chronic conditions, sometimes depending on what it is, I might suggest an 80/20, 80 alkaline, 20 acidic. 60/40, 80/20, when the acidity is basically in a smaller percentage, then you want to think about um, where you want that quota to be. So, in general, most fruits and vegetables are alkaline. So, kind of back to that previous chapter. And most grains and animal products are acidic. And again, the animal products are going to have the most nutritional value to it. Um, Interestingly enough, some legumes is also on the acidic side. Grains, legumes, nuts that have the highest nutritional quotient also are slightly alkaline. So that's kind of interesting too, how nature did that. All right, number one, begin with one meal at a time. Focus on one meal until you get the hang of it. All right. Number two, rethink other meals. Number three, then rethink the day. Number four, measure your results. You can do this actually with a pH strip. Now, my recommendation on a pH strip is only to test your first morning urine over a period of like 3 to 5 days and get that baseline. Then come back to it again every month, because if you're making changes, it's not going to change that quickly. There's a variety of other times of the day you can do it. Saliva, that it's, to me, it's not nearly what you're trying to look for is what happens after you've detoxed in your sleep, regenerated, recovered. So you see kind of what is left after your body's been able to use everything you've eaten in the days prior. Okay. Um, ah, Number five, accelerate results. So you can do three things through the course of the day to help improve your pH very rapidly. Consuming lemon water from fresh lemons, um, teaspoon of unfiltered raw apple cider vinegar. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. It's if you can tolerate those things, again, make sure you're rinsing out your mouth if you do lemon water or apple cider vinegar because of the residue on the enamel of the teeth. Um, a quarter teaspoon of baking soda. I don't really recommend that as a kind of strategy. It's not something I put in here. It is something that people kind of think about because that will reduce stomach acid. And when you do things like pink salt, fresh lemon, apple cider vinegar as the way of improving your pH, you're not doing it at the detriment of your stomach acid production, which we need. All right, chapter 14, moving right along. Uh, Eating red, green, and raw. Still, this kind of all is, again, expanding and talking about vegetables. So, number one, pick a favorite fruit or vegetable, and to try combining it with one you're not crazy about. So, for example, if you like strawberries, but you're not crazy about leafy greens, then again, spinach with strawberry salad. So, look for creative ways to try and add more depth. Um, I've been using the word nutritional quotient lately. I really like that. What's your nutritional quotient? I'll have to come up with some kind of like I don't know, quiz that we can do. We can figure that out. Wouldn't that be cool? All right. Don't allow color dominance. Oh, I know where I'm going with this. I still think about this too. Um, it's easy to just choose one color and let that dominate the plate, right? So, let's see. Like you wouldn't want to do sweet potato and tomato. Not that I can think of a combination like that, but or broccoli and spinach. Try and get something in the green and something that's kind of in that red, orange, yellow. All right. Um, be creative. Adding color can be quick. It really doesn't have to be like the idea of always making a salad. Often when I was busy and the kids and where they're going, it just doesn't happen. But you can slice a cucumber. You're good. Um, let's see. Shred raw carrot into rice along with the chopped green onion. Quick and easy, right? You made the rice now. Now add some stuff. Slice red bell pepper. That's a quick and easy one. Slice some tomatoes and drizzle extra virgin olive oil, sea salt, pepper. Love those things. Cucumber, my favorite. Number four, make a promise. Promise yourself and your health that you will eat a raw food at every meal. Again, it doesn't have to be a lot. Prep ahead. Again, prepping ahead is good. Don't get too far ahead of yourselves, especially if you struggle with histamines. Snacks are a great way to pick up those extra raw. And again, those last minute add-ons. And color means your plate is a real treat for your eyes and your health. All right. Clean water, chapter 15. I think this actually just went out in the newsletter today, especially because of winter. We just don't drink enough water. So, rule number one, get enough. All right. Most adults need 64 ounces. That's 8 glasses of 8 ounces spread out through the day. If you're not doing that, then ramp up, right? So, let's see if again, so I don't get too ahead of myself here. Okay. So we're losing about 32 ounces a day through sweat, urine, even talking. Um, so we're losing that. And if any of you are drinking coffee, 8 ounces is about it's a diuretic, which means that you're going to lose about an extra 8 ounces, right? So you have to think about at the very minimum replacing what you lose. And so again, if you're worried about going to the bathroom too often, then increase it slowly so that your stomach and your bladder can expand gradually and make those adjustments. Real thing. Okay, so currently the closest to perfect water out there is one that's gone through reverse osmosis. I still think that's probably the best. There are a lot of really great super filtrations, but you need to be careful about not depleting your minerals. Number three, mineral up, right? So add pink Himalayan sea salt to your meals. That's going to increase the mineral content that you're losing if you're doing ultra purified water. Number four, not in your car. Avoid leaving bottled water in the car. Heat and plastic, not a good idea. It's a breeding ground for bacteria. Also, just anytime any container makes contact with our mouth, it's going to start to develop bacteria. So we want to make sure that we're not only not leaving in the car, but not leaving them around and just cleaning those containers really well, really often. Um, uh, Coffee is not hydration. So again, a diuretic, anything with caffeine is a diuretic. So if you're doing 8 ounces of caffeinated drink, make sure you replace an extra 8 ounces of water. Uh, Number seven, dye our hair, not our insides. Yeah. Um, they have found that human hair will actually take the color from certain kids' drinks when used as a temporary hair dye. What do you think that's doing to the inside of our body? Number eight, children do not need sports drinks. I still talk about this all the time. Look, even if your kid is an athlete, if they are um, under 100 pounds, they do not need sports drinks with electrolytes in them. They need water. If you are concerned about electrolytes, you can do a coconut water and flavor it with which has naturally occurring electrolytes. But these sports drinks that are loaded with sugar and sometimes food dyes, I can tell you they're really not helping our kids. All right. Moving on. We're almost going to be done here. Chapter 16 is all about keeping things simple. All right. Keep simple ingredients, simple in preparation. I am definitely all about simple. I mean, how many of us are so busy we can't think complicated? Again, that idea of making like a big, big salad. Sometimes a salad to me is going to have three ingredients, or one, or two, right? Like it just does not have to be complicated. Rule number one, think seven. Think about your meals in terms of 7 to 12 ingredients. Take one meal each week, experiment with simplifying the task, simplifying the meal, and reducing your ingredients. Yeah, your stomach really needs to be like, oh, got it, got it, got it, got it, right? It can't just be like, whoa, what is this? What is this? What is this? Like, it's kind of a way you can think about it. Um, Number two, ramp up. Again, start one meal at a time. Number three, buy seasonal. We kind of talked about this in fruits and vegetables. Seasonal will always be cheaper than out of season. Then buy fresh or frozen. Frozen are often less expensive and contain good amounts of nutrients, better than the canned stuff. Um, Number five, buy dried items over canned or boxed. Yep. Number six, shop the outer aisles. Yeah, think that whole idea of kind of how do I navigate the big grocery store in a kind of a simple way is um, pretend you're at a farmer's market. Pretend you're at a place that's only going to offer fresh things. Kind of challenge yourself to buying things that you would only find at a farmer's market. Typically, a lot of that's on the outer aisles. Uh, Number seven, simple in terms of budget, eat eggs over meat if needed. Um, Eggs are inexpensive, but I would say be careful. More and more, I see people that are actually struggling with eggs. They're intolerant of them. It could cause bloating. It could cause um, histamines. Just could be a real. If you're not sure, you don't have to have like a full on allergy to have a problem with eggs. If you're not sure, cut it out for um, 3 weeks. Put it back in, see what happens. It's the easiest way on anything. If you're like, I don't like, except for gluten, right? We got to clear that out of our system for several months to kind of see a problem. Most things, 30 days is good enough to take it out, put it back in, and see. All right, think again. Number eight. Next time you have a boxed meal in your hand, see if you can challenge yourself to uh, make it a lot of box stuff. It's like a box cake mix. I mean, we still kind of have to put that together. It's not going to contain the liquids in it. And really, it's only just maybe one step remove the salt and the baking powder and the flour. So you're going to pay a lot more for it. Yeah, just again, another way of thinking about it. Number nine, avoid the microwave for 1 week. So microwaves are essentially such a high intense radiating type of heat that it's going to kill nutrients. So just think really carefully about how often you're using the microwave. Is it just to warm up something? But if you're using it to actually cook something, not really getting the nutrients you need. Make a plan. That does simplify things. You kind of have a plan. Great apps for doing this now. Um, Try a meal plan. We've got meal plans. I've got meal plans in the books. in each of my books. We're starting to load them on the website for free. So, yeah, check it out. But I'm going to encourage everyone to get the book too, because then you can highlight it. You can pick a chapter and kind of focus on the chapter. Hey, this month I'm going to focus on the things in this chapter. It doesn't have to go in order, and just, start to make 2025 the year you kind of make that pivot into something more sustainable and take one chapter at a time. All right. And that was the last chapter. So that was a perfect way to end. Make 2025 the year where you commit to sustainable nutritional changes and go one chapter at a time. All right. I actually loved going over this and seeing that I would still recommend everything that I've written in the book. I might have added a few things just to enhance. And again, I probably would have done a chapter on histamines, but I'm working on that book right now. So I'm hoping 2025 is the year that I come up with that book next. So thanks for joining me today, and to your nutritional health.